These people had their lives literally saved by Google Maps. Google Maps allows you to explore the entire world, but sometimes it saves lives. From missing people being found by Google Maps users, to a girl who used Google Maps to stop her own kidnapping. 1. First, check out this image. This is a real photo taken in 2016. 3 men had some boat trouble and got washed up on a deserted island. None of these men were survivalists, and they all thought they would die. But they had watched some castaway movies. They knew that one of the best things to do would be to spell out an SOS signal. This is so passing planes can see someone is on the island. So the men quickly gathered leaves and branches to spell out the word hell. For days, the men hoped and prayed, thinking they were done for. It wasn't long before their message was seen on Google Earth. A U.S. Navy plane then flew over the island and saw their sign. The men were then rescued by the U.S. Navy. The castaways were soon reunited with their friends and family. The men said if their distress signal was not seen by satellites and planes, they would not be alive today. 2. Now, let's look at the story of this boy who was saved by Google Maps. This is Saru Brilli from India. When he was a small boy, he boarded the wrong train. He was only 5 years old at the time, and he fell asleep on the train. 12 hours later, he woke up, but he was completely lost. He was over 1,500 miles away from home. He had no idea where his home was, so for many years he was homeless. He was then taken into an orphanage and later adopted by a couple. But 25 years later, he could not stop thinking about his home and his family who he'd left behind. He only remembered a few things about his hometown: a dam wall and a flyover bridge. He decided to use Google Maps. He spent hundreds of hours zooming in and looking around on Google Maps. Amazingly, using the little knowledge he had of his town, he found it. Saru was then able to go to his town and see his family for the first time in 25 years. All after Saru thought he'd never see his family again. 3. Now let's look at the scary story of this girl. This is a British traveler named Mary Kate Hayes. She was visiting Australia, but that's when one day she was kidnapped. A mentally unstable man took her into his car, but the kidnapper forgot to take Mary's phone. While he wasn't looking, Mary was able to send her location to her father using Google Maps. She texted her dad her location and said, "Are you awake?" She then said, "I've been taken by a man. I think it will be okay if you're quick." Her dad was able to call the Australian police. She sent her location many times so she could be trapped. This way, the police knew where the kidnapper was driving her. After 2 terrifying hours, the police pulled over the vehicle. The man was quickly arrested, and Mary was saved. She said if it wasn't for Google Maps, the man would have killed her. 4. Now, let's look at a man who was lost for decades who was found by Google Maps. One night, William Mould went for a drive and never came home. Decades went by, and William never showed up, so his family lost hope. But here's where it gets crazy. 22 years later, someone was using Google Maps. That's when they noticed something strange inside a lake. There appeared to be a car submerged in the lake. The man alerted authorities, who pulled the car out of the lake, and inside they found William, 22 years after he went missing. It's very sad that William's life was not safe. Thus, now his family has closure, and they know he did not run away. 5. It's amazing how Google Maps can solve a 20-year mystery. Finally, let's look at the story of this boy who had his life saved by Google Maps. This is 15-year-old Austin Bahanon. One day he went on a hike in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, but during this hike he got lost. He had no phone signal, so he turned his phone off. For 11 days he tried to find his way out of the national park. Eventually he realized while he may not have a phone signal, he may have a GPS signal. So he turned his phone on and opened Google Maps. The emergency GPS worked, and he found his way out. Austin was then found and taken to a hospital. He was treated for exhaustion, dehydration, and starvation, but thankfully he made a full recovery. He said if it wasn't for Google Maps, he would have never made it out alive. It's good to remember these survival tips in case you guys ever get lost.